Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hashtag hosts and the HQFM quiz and bingo software are proud to sponsor the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. With HQFM quiz and bingo software, you can use this interactive quiz software at any venue. All you need is an internet connection. Go to hashtagquiz.co.uk for your free trial today.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. I'm Catherine Vandome and I'm a stand-up comedian in recovery from very severe ME. I'm also a published author and my book is out now and it's called The Truth About Me. And it's all about entertainment and health and my recovery journey. And on that note, it gives me the greatest of pleasure to introduce onto today's podcast the beautiful Tupele Dorgu, who is an actress, best known for television's Crabtree in Coronation Street. And she's also a voiceover artist and much, much more. And it gives me the greatest of pleasure to welcome onto today Tupele Dorgu. Hello there, Tupele. How are you?
Hi, thank you. God, I feel like there should be a big round of applause. That was such a nice intro. Thank you.
We'll fit that in, Tupele. Absolutely needed as well, because it's an absolute joy to have you onto today. Because just tell us recently where you've just come back from. That's why you're looking so fabulous as well.
Oh, well, it was the half term. So my husband and I took my little boy to Malta, which was amazing. And then we had a weekend in Vienna. So my husband was doing a conference out there, the UN conference. So yes, we flew out there and had a couple of days with them, which was nice. So I'm all set for holidays. I was in desperate need of one, and now I've had a couple, so I'm all good.
I'm sure there'll be many more to come, and absolutely deserved as well, because you have just finished a production, haven't you? Just tell us a little bit about that before we move on to more things.
Well, I was playing Susan in Abigail's Party at the Royal Exchange in Manchester. So I always wanted to work at the Royal Exchange. I used to actually live in the city centre, so I could walk there in like 15 minutes, and I never got a job there. I think I probably auditioned for a show there twice and never worked there. I actually still live in Manchester. I live in Didsbury now. But yeah, when I got the call for an audition for the Exchange, I was like, oh, this could be good. And it's a classic play, which I didn't really know very well. I know it's got a massive cult following.
Yes.
And it was to play Susan, and I thought Susan's the boring one. She doesn't really say anything, but I've really enjoyed it. And she isn't the boring one, and there's a lot to it. She has less lines, but yeah, when you know the production, there's only 5 people in it. They're on stage the whole time, and it's like a real time sort of drinks evening. And you realise that Susan has a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the whole joy of it. Just tell us who the author is of this play as well.
Oh, it's Mike Lee. So he's done quite a few famous plays. He did Secrets and Lies, which I remember watching on TV as a kid. Abigail's Party was a play, and then they televised it. Yes. And Alison Steadman played Beverly. And yeah, it just became like a massive cult following, and people loved it. People quote the show, and there are a lot of comparisons to the original because it's set in Essex, but we set ours in Manchester. So we had a few differences. It was set in the Round, which is quite rare. Usually it's a Cinema Arch Theatre stage, and it's just very much a living room as you would see it, as you would have. But ours was in the Round, and things moved. It was really sensational. Actually, the first day of rehearsals, I didn't know. I knew a couple of people in it. Didn't know the director. But they showed us the set and the design and the costumes, you know, what they were going to do. And I was like, wow, it's going to be amazing. So I was in a fabulous production, if I do say so. And yeah, it was lots of fun.
And who was your director on this show, Tupele?
Natalie Abrahami. She goes by Nancy. And she was absolutely sensational. She was amazing, really, really fabulous. She did that thing which like a parent does, you know, when they kind of make it feel like it's your idea. Do you know what I mean?
I
I
love
don't mean
that.
that in a manipulative way, but she kind of goes, well, over to you. And you go, okay. And she created a safe space where everyone could share ideas. Nobody felt silly. You could change how you felt your character was coming into a scene. And she really gave us those tools to run with it and go, I think I'd be doing this at this point. I think she's probably come from here. And she'd be like, great, brilliant. And you're like, it was just wonderful. And she was
That's
very
amazing.
calm. The whole
That's
process was
amazing because
so calm.
you don't get that often, is what I'm
No.
hearing, Tupele. You know, as an actor myself, you don't get the opportunity to be able to actually say, well, I think she came on from stage left. Mind you, there's no left and right in the round.
No. A lot of character work and a lot of things where she just really, she was great, and she kind of set the parameters, and then we could kind of work within it. And yeah, she was fabulous.
And did she work from sort of, like you say, from the internal artist rather than the external? So rather than just
Yeah.
explain to the audience who hasn't been trained by Mrs. Connor at our same school,
Oh yeah.
we'll go back onto that later. Who was our, first influence in the theatre.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I was going to say was, in the round, that is basically theatre in the round, the most difficult to stage, because you're literally in a circle, just for the non-actors watching today.
Yeah.
And a proscenium march, of course, is the viewing screen, which is the standard theatrical view, and then a thrust stage is your three-sided audience. So what you did is you went way beyond, and you did, the theatre in the round. I think I saw Hair in the West End in the round, which was quite literally eye-opening in the round.
Yeah.
You can't hide.
I know there's nowhere to hide. That's the thing. There's nowhere to hide as a performer in the round. And you have to be very aware of the people behind you, and have to be able to almost like project out of your head. And you have to make sure that even if someone is getting the back of you, they have a view of other people and other things. And the way our set was, there were quite a lot of things around the edge. So they had to change some things. And we had a ceiling that came in that had to fly out earlier. We had a coat stand which was going to fly out, and that didn't fly out because it was literally like this for about 15 minutes if you sat in a certain spot. So there were lots of sort of changes, but we changed quite a lot of the blocking, which is positioning of people walking and standing and things like that. So and it was it's good. It's one of those things that you only work out once you're on the set, and you kind of think, I think I've been sat down for 15 minutes and I've been having my back to the audience for a while. So you have to really do a lot of this. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, how does it work staging wise, Tupele? Share with us a little bit more about that, because if it is in the round, do you and fellow actors, particularly if you're given that freedom of expression, which I absolutely adore, that is the best way, I think, to direct, so that you get a fully engaged cast. And obviously, as you say, you've got to have that parameters of what their mindset is, their staging and their concept of the production. But what's brilliant, and what I'm hearing from you, is that you were given the freedom to actually almost stage yourself a little. Now, did you have the opportunity to sit in all of the chairs in the round to ensure that nobody was blocking, or did they get other audience members to come and ensure that that wasn't the case? How did that work?
The director would, once we got into the theatre, so we rehearse in rehearsal studio, and then we get into the theatre and probably do about a week on the actual set. And then the director would watch it from different views. And there might be an assistant director that goes upstairs and said, I was watching from the balcony and it's great, but from this bit, not so much. And it was actually me that said, I said, I don't want to present a problem that we can't solve, because the whole thing of the coat rack flying in and out was brilliant. And I said, but I've just been sat in this seat and the coat rack is right there. And she was like, yeah, I know, we might have to cut it. And I was like, okay. So I don't know what we're going to do, but yeah. So different people would do kind of different spots. And if you're not in, in that particular bit, you might choose somewhere else to sort of sit and see what's good.
And were you on stage the whole time, Tupele? Because obviously sometimes in the round they give you, the actor, the opportunity to actually stay on stage the whole time. A bit like Come From Away is, you are on stage the whole time in that musical production. I just wondered, how did this lady stage your theatrical production? Were you on there the whole time, or could you leave?
Yeah, well, It depends on when your character enters. Some characters exit to go outside. My character didn't come on for about 20 minutes. She was later to the drinks evening. But once I was on, I didn't leave. There are two parts of the play when my character goes off, and she traditionally would exit stage to go and be sick. And then there's a couple of times when characters, my character and the lead character, Beverly, they would exit, say, I'm just going to the toilet. So you exit stage. So traditionally, those characters would have 5 minutes or so off stage. And, you could kind of have a bit of a break.
Yes.
But they decided to put the toilet on stage.
Oh,
so
no.
Whenever you go to the toilet is right there in front of somebody. So I had to pretend sick in a toilet. And then when we went to sort of grab a five minutes, I'm just going to the toilet, then the toilet would be there and she'd be sat on the toilet doing her makeup or whatever with an audience member right here. And that was another thing that they usually say, well, I'm just going to the toilet, and she'll leave. And so our director was like, what do you think she's doing in the toilet? She can't actually go to the toilet. So you have to go, well, maybe she's having a cry. Maybe she's having a little think. Maybe she's redoing her makeup. And so you have to think about what the character's actually doing and not just leave because the stage directions say leave. And so that was another thing. We had to come up with things that people would do in the toilet.
Yeah. And what about phones? Were you allowed the modern technology? Did they put it in, a modern setting, or was it?
No, it was completely 70s.
With no phone, you're really stuck, because what you would do today, Tupele, is just have your phone and nothing else.
Yeah. No,
so you had lipstick, 70s. I'm guessing, in those times from having seen it, and mirrors. What else? Don, share with us a little bit more about what you explored in that limitations of being in that piece of set.
Well, for my character, I decided that she just, at the stage of the play, she just had a bit enough. So she goes to the toilet, and there's a lot of kind of conflict and difficulty because she wants to leave and she doesn't really like the atmosphere. So I actually went and my character had a cry. So I would sit on the toilet and just cry and then get myself together and like look in the mirror, kind of, pat my hair down and straighten my dress and then go off again. The Beverly character, I know she had a bit of a cry and she reapplied her makeup. Yeah. And then I think, there's other times where people exited to the kitchen, and again, that would be off and people would shout the lines from the wings traditionally, but our kitchen was actually on stage. So people were actually making sandwiches, people are actually opening doors of ovens and cupboards and talking about the kitchen, whereas traditionally you don't see the kitchen and they're just shouting. So all of that was created. There was so much more of the play that was brought on stage for people to see. So it was an amazing production, and it
sounds absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, it sounds absolutely phenomenal, Tupele. And is there anybody that we may know that shared the stage with you in this production?
Yes, we had Kim Marsh as our Beverly, and and Graham Horton. His name. I'm so bad with names.
Graham Norton.
No, not Graham Norton. He played John State in Corrie. So there was him, me, and Graham all from Corrie. And then we had a guy called Kyle Rowe playing Tony, and Yasmin Tahiri playing Ange. And amazing cast. Yeah. Amazing.
Wow. Yeah. And it sounds like from being on
Graham Hawley. That's who I'm thinking.
What's his name again?
Graham Hawley.
Graham Hawley. It's always the person that you can't say their name on the moment.
Yeah.
But the main thing that I'm hearing you say is that it is like a family celebration. So once you've hit the cobbles, you get these great opportunities ahead, I'm sure, because work together, you've shown your worth, not just your credence in your acting, Tupele, which was obviously resonating from young childhood, but also as a professional, because there's a lot more to it than as you've just explained. You don't just walk onto the stage and then walk off again and have a cup of tea, particularly in an arena like this. Your adrenaline and your alert brain has to be active the whole time, because you can't switch off and there's somebody behind you watching everything. So is it a quite stressful experience, and how many weeks was it, and how was it?
it was a 4-week rehearsal period, which is quite sort of standard. And then it was actually a 7-week run. Usually they're 3 to 4 weeks, but they extended it because it was really popular. So that was great. They extended it by about a week. And it was the concept of going on was stressful because during the show, everyone gets slightly drunker and everyone gets a drink. So like, I'll give you another drink. So you have to down these drinks. And we counted the drinks. Beverly has about 13 drinks. Do you know what I mean? So, and you can't actually go to the toilet, which is what you might do. So we had to train ourselves to, I go to the toilet twice before I go on, twice in the interval, and you manage to get through each half. And it was different. So I'd not done any theatre for 7 years. The last show I did, I was pregnant. And that was at Oldham Coliseum, a play called Bread and Roses, that had singing in it as well. Fantastic production by Ian Kershaw. And I hadn't done any theatre for a while because I just wanted to look after my little boy. And I was working, I was doing TV, but theatre just wasn't going to fit in with my lifestyle, being sort of getting my son from school, putting him to bed. And I was very much, wanted to be there. So yeah, he's 6 now.
Oh.
And I think had it not been the Royal Exchange, and had it not been close, local, I wouldn't have taken it because that's a very long time for me to be away from home.
What's your little boy's name?
Oh, my boy's called Maddox.
Maddox. Oh, that's a nice name. And you basically are saying that because it was quite near to you, you felt that you could do. When we talked earlier, you were doing the sort of morning run, as you say, the standard mum things to do, and then if you're doing a late production and the rehearsals as well, as you say quite rightly, it's quite different to doing a daytime television set and then coming home and being able to do the mum duties. So just tell us the difference and tell us the challenges perhaps of both of those.
So I think with TV, it depends. If you're on something like Corrie or Waterloo Road or EastEnders, they're set in a studio, they're set at a particular place, and you kind of have a workplace you go to. Their working day is usually from 7 till 7, and you could be required at any point in that day from 7 till 7 or 7 till 10 or 1 till 5, whatever it is that you're going to do your scenes. And that's pretty standard Monday to Friday. And if you work on a different kind of show, like a drama, it could be set somewhere, but it could be that you do a week in London, then you're shooting somewhere by the coast, and then you've got a location somewhere else, not necessarily up and down the country, but perhaps in that spot. So when I filmed Strike, we did a week in Hampstead. Well, I did 1 or 2 weeks in Hampstead, then we were in other parts of London, here and there, and different things. So you're kind of shooting off to different places, sometimes 2 days a week. So you might have a stay over for 1 or 2 nights, maybe you do a week somewhere. So it's a lot more sporadic.
Yeah.
I can have weeks off, and then I'm like, right, I'm going to be filming in London for 2 days, and then I'm back for a week, and then I'm away in Bristol for a week, and then I'm back. And that's a little bit easier in terms of family life. You just have to have that week catered or that overnight sorted out. And obviously, if you're filming something that shoots abroad, then you're away for 6 weeks or 3 months in Romania or Spain or whatever. So filming is easier in that sense, depending on what the project is. Whereas theatre, every night you got to be on that theatre in that city, wherever it is, and it isn't always easy to get home if it's not in your hometown. And so that was something. Theatre is my sort of first love. I trained in musical theatre. I love it, but it just fit in with my lifestyle as well. So I wouldn't be able to do theatre as every job. I wouldn't want to be working every night in a 12-month contract.
What I'm hearing you say is when we are in our sort of early 20s, for example, when we kickstart and jump into this business, we haven't got those responsibilities, as you say, the family responsibility.
Yeah.
And you've got that freedom of jumping on a plane and going anywhere.
And it's exciting, jetting off, going here, going there, being picked up, taking somewhere, staying somewhere else, meeting new people. And I did that, and it is brilliant. But I'm an older mom, and it took me a long time to have my little boy. So I just feel it's a really, really important part of my life, and I don't feel like I want to miss that, and I want to sort of regret not being there. You know, a few weeks here and there is fine, and the play I was doing is fine. But for me, doing the mum job and the theatre job for a year, it would absolutely kill me. So I did it for 7 weeks, and that was great. And I was, you know, ready for a holiday afterwards.
And what I'm hearing is your first passion and first love was the theatre, and
Yeah.
now, absolutely rightly so, Tupele, it's your gorgeous little boy. So obviously, and your partner as well, of course.
Yeah.
So your two boys. But the most important thing is that's a celebration, and as you say, that's been quite a challenge for you, hasn't it? The fact that as
Yeah.
you're older mum, you're absolutely not old. You're younger than myself, and
Ah.
we're both still spring chickens. But the most important thing is just tell me how that felt and what challenges were brought up there, Tupele.
Well, I think there was an assumption. I met my husband, and we always said we wanted to have a family. And you think, yeah, I will, we will. And it's that naivety you have where you think, oh, it'll be easy. So we'll decide. We'll decide. We'll do it this month. We'll have the baby in this month, and then we'll carry it. You know what I mean? And I have friends that did it. You know, we're going to plan a baby, so I might be pregnant in that month, and they are. And you just think, oh, well, great. And it's when, you know, you meet somebody, and my husband was brilliant. If I was on tour, he'd come and see me, or, you know, he'd come and stay with me. And my job was a lot more, it was more of a malleable thing. So our relationship could kind of travel with my work. It wasn't like I'd go away for ages and not see him. So my job never really, apart from just trying to plan holidays and things, it never really kind of got in the way of our life. Touring is difficult when you've got a partner, but it was just part of it. And I kind of thought, well, I want to do another job, and then we'll have a baby. I want to do another job, and I did a panto, and then a week later I started rehearsals for Chicago tour. I did 9 months on Chicago, then I went straight into another panto like a week later, and said, right, after that, I'm broken. We'll try for a baby. And I was 35. When we started trying for a baby, and I had a baby at 41. So that was a long journey I was not expecting. So yeah, I came to the stage where I was like, well, I can't go for that audition because I'll probably be pregnant. And then just assuming, and you know, jobs came and went, and opportunities came and went, and you know, I wasn't pregnant. And so that became a bit of a difficult thing. We had a lot of IVF, a lot of, you know, a lot of disappointments. And it kind of became part of our life. That's just one of the things that we always do. And I was lucky. We had some amazing times. We still went on great holidays and did all the things you do as a couple. I did some great work as well. I did some great jobs I was really proud of. And then when I did have my boy, to say I was 41, which isn't the standard age to have your first child. And it was, you know, it's tough. I think it's a real challenge, a real change when you have a baby. You just like what has just happened the first 12 months is like a crazy blur. But yeah, I really wanted to invest in that after such a long time. And when he was 1, we got COVID, as in COVID happened. So we were at home for a year, and it was actually really nice.
Somebody told you you are now going to be the conventional stay-at-home mum. So,
you
there's been a lot of pluses. This circumstance that we've all gone through, and I always try and focus on the positives. And you've been very blessed to have a baby, Tupele. I haven't had that blessing myself, but I do have a little dog, Tinker. So this is my little Tinker, Tupele, and he's nearly 17.
Oh wow.
He's done okay, hasn't he? And it's the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast, and he's our co-host.
I did wonder actually, because I watched one and I saw you have a little dog that pulls on your banner, and I was like, I think she's a dog person. I actually said I'd always have a dog. So I had a dog when I was growing up. I got one when I was about 11. Loved dogs. And I always thought, you know, we'll have a family, we'll have loads of kids, we'll have 4 kids, we'll have a dog, we'll be those kind of people. And I think you need to do it the other way around, because once I had a baby, I was like, I can't have any mess. I didn't want to share the love, because I get the dog love, I get it. And I didn't want to be kind of like, no, I've got the baby, you know, and I think you have to have the dog first and then have the baby. I just thought I can't love anything else more than my little boy. So
Oh,
we haven't got the dog.
100%,
But
Pelly, and this has been my 17 years of bliss. And so your little
oh,
boy, your real little boy, mine's like Pinocchio.
oh,
But the love, I, as I say, I can only say what love I feel for Tinks, and I know that if you've got yourself a real boy,
yeah,
that must be absolutely magical for you, to Pelly, and so deserved. And do you know what? I think everything's about timing.
yeah, absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
you had more to do in your career. You had more to explore. There's always a reason in my experience, and I say this in the
Mm.
book as well. Everything happens for a reason, and we don't know why at the time.
No.
But actually, there was a reason for that, so that when the time came, you were
Mhm.
locked down and you could spend every single waking moment.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong, it's hard. I think it's always hard with a little one, but yeah, it just gave me a real love for being a mum. I think I had that separation anxiety as well. I didn't like leaving him. I actually did a
Okay.
job when I was 5 months old, and it was only supposed to be 2 days of filming. My husband was going to have him. I was fine, okay, brilliant. And then they said, we really need you to film this other day. I said, well, my husband can't have him, so I can't. And they phoned me, and the producer phoned me, and somebody else phoned me, and the director said, "We'd be, you know what?" And I said, "Well, I can't. You know what I mean? No, I don't have anyone else to take him. I don't want to leave him with anybody else." And then I got a call from, I can't remember who the woman was, but she was one of the producers on the show, and she said, "I would feel exactly the same. I've had a nanny that used to look after my kids at nursery. She was fabulous. We used her as a babysitter. If we get her on set, will you bring your boy and let her look after him while you're filming?" And I was like, okay then. And they were so amazing. They went out of their way. They came, like, it was raining, and they came with brollies and everything to help me get the baby out. And they had like a pack and play, like, foldable cart with all of these things. And they were like, what do you need? What do you need? And I'm like, right, well, she's going to makeup, bring the baby. And they were like taking the cart into makeup, taking the cart into costume. It was brilliant, and it meant I could
Magical
relax.
is
And
that, Tupele?
I know, and it's
That
so
is
random. Why is
magical.
every job like this? I'd be working all the time, and that's the thing. It's really hard to, somebody said to me, when you're at work, you can't be a mom, and when you're a mom, you can't be at work. You can't have a job when you're a mom, and when you're at work, your mum things are, they don't matter. So it's hard getting that balance. I feel lucky. I feel I have that balance.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think it's because I'm older. I think if I was about 30, I might kind of feel guilty, and I might feel like I should be doing things, and I don't, because I'm very much what's for you will not go by you.
Oh, I like
So
that. I like that.
do
Say
you know,
that again, Tupele.
do you know who told me that? I can't remember what it was. It was a workshop with Ruthie Henshaw, West End star, and it
Yeah.
was in a theatre, and it was a some. I mean, I've no idea. I went on my own as well. I don't know how I found out about it or why I went, but she was doing a bit of a workshop. It was in a theatre in the West End. You could pay to go and see, and she would talk about things and about techniques and loads of different things, and about jobs. And she talked about, I won't go into the long story of it, but ultimately Chicago was happening on, was it the West End, or it was the Broad? I think it was the Broadway version. They bring it to the West End. They wanted her to audition. She said, "Oh, I don't think I'll audition for that part, for Roxy." And then they came back, and she went, I'm not available. I'm out of the country. I'm in the States." And they're like, "Well, if you're in the States, we'll audition you in the States." They auditioned her in the States, and she tried to dodge it for whatever reason, but it kept coming back, and she ended up auditioning for it. And she said, ultimately, I've played Roxy and Velma in the West End and on Broadway. So she's like, what's for you will not go by you. So if you want something so badly and it's not happening, it's because it's not for you or not at that time. And you can dodge things as much as you like, but if it's for you, you're going to end up doing it. And it's hard to think of that at the time. So I thought, God, am I not going to go back to work again? Am I just going to be mum? And I like it. I'm not sure how I can really get work. And it became it became quite difficult to work out how I was going to go back to work in the capacity I had before, but still feel I was giving to my son.
So thank you for sharing that. So what you're saying to Pelly is with your now wonderful dream of becoming a mother and the fact that you had to wait 6 years, your time was meant to be at that time. And I think
Yeah.
if we all look at time and timing
Mhm.
in that sort of Ruthie Henshaw expression, just remind us again what she actually said, the quote.
What's for you will not go by you.
What's for you will not go by you. And
Yeah.
that's a really strong quote to bring to today's table as well, Kelly. And so what you're saying is she tried to dodge the show. It kept coming back. She did it in abundance. She was sensational, and she
Yeah.
always is a real
Yeah.
icon of mine as well. Absolutely
Yeah.
sensational. And then you got to be in this production as well. So tell us what part
Yeah.
you played.
I played Velma Kelly, and I love the show. I've seen it in the West End. I've seen the tour. I saw it when I was in New York. I just loved it, and I auditioned for it when I'd left college, so early 20s. When you're at a theatre school, I'm assuming they do this now, but when you're at theatre school, they'll have people from productions coming in and teaching you audition routines. Audition routines for shows are standard; they're all the same. So you learn the Cats routine, the Grease routine, the Starlight Express routine, the whatever routine, Fame, and we learned the Chicago routines. So I went for an audition and didn't get anywhere with it. So I'd love to do it one day. And then the auditions came around again. I actually got into the cast of Mamma Mia, which is I say first West End job, my only West End job when I was sort of late 20s. And it was the same casting director. I didn't get an audition on it. When you're thinking, I'm never going to get in this show and I really want to do this show. Anyway, I got into Corrie and I saw the casting director. He knew me because he'd cast me in things before. Stephen Crockett. I met him at an event and he said, would you ever do Chicago? And I said, only if I could play Velma. And he said, but the celebrity role is usually Roxy. And I said, but it's Velma's show. And he said, well, most people think it's Roxy's show. And I said, well, it's not, it's Velma's show. And I had a real affinity with Velma.
Yeah, I like Velma.
And as traditionally, people from pop stars and actresses and celebrities that would go in and do the role for a short period of time, it was always Roxy. And it's an amazing role, Roxy, but I just had an affinity with Velma. Anyway, the opportunity came up for me to audition, and it's a similar thing. I really wanted to do it. A friend of mine had played Velma in the West End production, so she came to my house and taught me the Velma audition, which was amazing for her because sometimes on the day you're so nervous and you're like, I can't remember the count and the clap and the thing. So I nailed it. Did the audition, brilliant. Got a recall for it, brilliant. They were like, it's great, and I didn't hear anything for ages. And then the West End production closed, and I was like, no, this is a nightmare. I really want to be in this show. And then I got a call saying, would you audition for a tour? I said, oh gosh, I don't want a tour. Okay, they want you to go up for Roxy. And I was like, what's happening? Fine. So I learned all the Roxy stuff and I went in and I sang for Roxy and it was lovely. And it was a really good audition. And I said, while I'm here, could I audition for Velma? Because I know the stuff and I'd really like the opportunity. And they said, no, we've got a Velma in mind. And your Roxy was great. And I was like, there's nothing else I can do. Okay. And then I got a call the next day going, they want you to do the dance call for Velma. And I was
Really?
like, amazing. So I went in and did the dance call. And then they recalled me. The American choreographer wants to see you. So I went in, just me, did that. How did that go? Don't know. And then I got to go to meet the producer. So I had to sing for him in his office. And he said to me at the end, great. Well, I guess I'll see you in January or whatever. And I was like, what? And I waited like a couple of days and I was like, yeah, you've got Velma, you're doing the UK tour. And it was a 9-month UK tour. And it was amazing.
That's amazing. Tupele,
Yeah.
that's amazing because what I love is you obviously had this wisdom of what you felt was the right character that sat on your shoulders, which is really what I call a proper actor. Somebody that's not just taking the hits and the star moments of this fantastic entertainment career, but you just have this wisdom inside that actually that role isn't for me, and Velma sits more on my shoulders, and I love that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have the confidence to say, because most people in the 20s would just say, I'll be the third person at the back as long as I'm wearing tap shoes.
Yeah. And I
Whereas
think,
you have
yeah,
that wisdom to say, do you know
yeah,
what? This isn't my character, but I believe
no.
that this one is. And will you give me the opportunity to be seen? Well done.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they'd offered me Roxy, I'd have been yes. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's again amazing, amazing role. And I think back in the day, when my early 20s, when I auditioned, like if they'd said you can sit in the corner and not do anything, but you can wave at, I'd be like, yeah.
The most important thing is when you're little, you absolutely will. You'll sit, and that's obviously our training. And I want to hear about your youth and how you got to this point in a second as well. But I think as you grow older and wiser, you start to filter through what you feel sits on you and what's right for you. And
Yeah.
and is that what happened in your Coronation Street audition as well? Because I know from auditions I had and things, they love it. They love Northerners because we tend to perhaps overshare slightly or say how we're feeling, and
Yeah.
or crack jokes, and that's what also makes you stand out from the crowd, Tupele, that you are willing to put yourself into the role and also willing to put your wisdom into that particular character. You knew that that character was best suited on your shoulders and you fought for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it might not have turned out that way, but I gave it everything I got. I actually remember coming out of the West End audition I did just before the tour audition, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember being really upset, thinking I'd not done a great job. Yeah, and as it happened, nobody got a job because they weren't recasting because they shut the show. But yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know, but you got to kind of go with your gut.
Yes.
And you can't be. I think you can be super picky, especially when you're young. A job's a job, and you don't always get the role. I still do things now, and you don't necessarily get the role, but you know what I mean. You think, well, it's good enough. And for me, is it going to be at either a theatre I want to be at, or work with somebody I want to work with, or is the money really good? I always thought if that one of those three things is present, then that's the reason for taking a job. Sometimes it's not a great production. It's really daft and silly, but they're paying you amazing money, and you're like, well, I got to pay the bills. Or maybe it's not a great run. Maybe it's in a bit of an obscure theatre, but it'd be an amazing opportunity to work with this director and these actors and with the team, because you learn so much, you get so much from it creatively and professionally. So it was it's rare you get all three, I have to say. It's rare it's in the location with people. Very rare.
I know, and being in the north, you've not got the sunshine that you've got when you're on the tours and things. But I think what's really lovely is your character, your personality, Tupele. You can see that you're very personable, you're very mature in your the way you come across, and fun-loving as well. And I think those things are real star qualities in terms of when you get rebooked for jobs, people don't come back to you. This is what is always the hard learn in this industry. People don't come back and ask you to return to jobs such as what you've just had at the Royal Exchange. If you're not personable, timeous, team player, all these attributes are so important. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what they say, business is all about relationships.
Yeah.
And the industry is a business, and people want to work with people that they know can get the job done. They're not going to make a fuss. They're going to be, bring something to the table. They're not just going to turn up, stand there, not speak, and wait for you to say, move over there and smile. And be able to get on with people. You've got to have that grace, give people their moment. There's lots of things, but I think you learn that as you're in the industry. You see, and I've been treated really badly by other people in the industry, and I think I'm not going to do that to somebody else. I don't want that. I don't want to be that person, and I don't experience it again. So I'll enter my next experience differently, and remember what it's like, and and it's just things like that.
And when you say, without going into too much personal detail, when you say treated really badly, do you mean by industry professionals around you, or do you mean people above that are hiring?
I'd say other people in shows.
Yes.
So bullying, you know,
Happens
just
a lot, doesn't it?
the arts is very exposing
Yeah.
industry to be in, because you're putting your heart and soul out there. And, you know, depending on what your production is, it can be very, you know, you feel really humiliated if you go out and do something, you make an artistic choice and people are like, it's not very good. And it's soul destroying. It's really hard to kind of think, okay, well, I got that wrong that time. I'll try something else. And, you know, and you can feel like people don't like what you're doing or think you're not very good and they don't want to be friends with you. And you get all of that kind of stuff. A lot of jealousy, I think.
Jealousy.
People
Yes.
really want their moment in the sun and they're not happy that you're having yours, or, you know, things like that. A friend of mine's in an amazing production at the moment and she's got a similar thing. She's like, you know, he just stood in front of me, didn't even see me. Do you know what I mean? He's like a 6 foot man and he's got loads of lines, he's got a massive role. And, you know, he's vying for more attention. He didn't even notice I was there. And, you know, you can't be like that in a production.
Well, it's what I have learned from watching fellow performers as well, and many people I've worked with is, and I remember speaking to an actress years ago who she said she did, I think it was Les Mis, and she said she was just in tears once. She was so badly bullied. She was doing the chant of, do you hear the people sing? And she cried throughout it, and that was the finale for her. She thought everything I always thought I wanted, and it
Yeah.
all depends on who's in the cast, as you've just quite rightly said,
Mm-hmm.
your fellow comrades, and it's a team. And the most professional artists who I have spoken with and worked with over the years, they are team players. They don't have big egos, and I think it seems to be the most vulnerable, the most frightened, and maybe a little selfish, the people who just want to grab, as you say, the bite of the cherry and
Yeah.
not even notice somebody next to them. They might have a big hit, but they're called a one-hit wonder because producers, directors, and others, and I've had Anthony Bristow on the show, who has supported and looked after Sir Cameron Mackintosh and Lloyd Webber on a personal front, and a lot of celebrities as well. And he basically said, um, the industry is very small, which I'm sure you can agree with, and
Yeah.
knows everybody. So if you
Yeah.
go in with an attitude of I'm better than everybody else, or as you quite rightly said, they'll watch your conduct, they'll see how you interact in that musical, in that television series, and they'll say, well, they're very talented, but they're not working with somebody else.
Yeah.
They're not
They're too much trouble. Yeah. People
absolutely.
often say, what will they like? They go, oh, they're a bit tricky. And sometimes it depends, you know, you feel put them in the right spot and they're happy, you know, and they're fine and you get the best out of them. But you perhaps put them in a situation where they're not shining as they had done before, or they're perhaps not doing what they want, how they want to do it. And then there's that sort of struggle, and it kind of reverberates through the cast a little bit if some people aren't happy with what they're doing.
Yeah, and it can spoil it. And I think what I hear you saying is the joy that you've just had at the Royal Exchange with Kim Marsh and Stephen, what was it?
No, Graham Hawley.
Graham Hawley, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm mixing
Yeah.
Stephen Graham now.
No, yeah.
They're all
Sorry.
in it. Graham
That's
Norton. What a cast.
I know, right?
So Graham Hawley and
Yes.
Kim Marsh and who were the cast members again?
Kyle Rowe and Yasmin Tahiri.
Fantastic. And what I'm hearing you say is, as exhausting as live theatre is, particularly as you say, when you're edging into your 40s and beyond, and particularly having a family where you have to get up early and you know, make the sandwiches and all the sort of duties that go with having your own family. Obviously, what's great is the high of the performance, but how does that then? Do you need some time to sort of recover a little bit, Tupele, before you then take on your next project?
I mean, I think you just take the work as it comes, to be honest.
Yeah.
My agent always laughs with me because he's always like, oh, you love a holiday. And I'm like, yes, I do. Got to get them in. But yeah, I think you kind of take them as they come. I know some people were going off like the following week to do a job, and that's often the way. You start a job straight away after another one, and you get your breaks where you can. I was lucky that I was on holiday the next day. Had a week. It was half term, so it landed in the only time we could really holiday. It landed at a great time. And we come back, the weather's amazing here in Manchester. So I'm enjoying this sort of break. But if a job comes along and I'm filming somewhere next week, then that's the way it is. I think actors forget that you're, especially when you're younger, you're trained to be very grateful for the opportunity and do everything. And you should when you're younger. It's good to try everything, pay your dues sort of thing, and and learn your craft. But as you get older, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to accept the contract. You do have choices. Money comes into it, obviously, but
I think
you feel like
security, isn't there? Certainly from my wisdom of getting older, I think there's a security to Pelly in that you can have your own voice a bit stronger, and that just comes with maturity, wisdom. As you say, you've proven yourself, which is quite nice as well. Once you've already proven yourself and you've had an incredible career, and you've got another 50 years at least ahead of you in this business as well. You've crafted, you've worked hard. That's the thing that a lot of people don't see in the entertainment industry. They don't understand that actually it is one of the hardest jobs in the world because it is a roller coaster. Yes, it's an enormous pleasure when you absolutely love entertainment. Of course it is. But it's also very physically and mentally exhausting, particularly in the theatrical tours. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it is. It is. And every job's different. So you're thrown in with another group of people, completely different script, completely different angle. Your character's different. Everything about it's different. And you might fall into that thing of comparing it to the job you were in before, or experiences you had. But you've just got to take every experience as it is. Do you know what I mean? And that's just theatre. That's TV. Sometimes you're filming in great places, other times you're in a dustbin. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. The in-between times are your real life in-between times are the bits that you have to really get a grip of, because the job could take you anywhere. One day you're doing this, next minute, cut your hair off. You're not wearing that outfit. We're putting you in something else. We've changed your lines. It's such a variable commodity that I think one of the things I think younger performers should really invest in and get a grip of early is investing in their home, personal, in-between life as well, because you can spend a lot of time, it could be 6 weeks or it could be 6 months or longer, not working. So you end up being sad.
That's really interesting, Tupele, because this channel's all about entertainment and health. And I just wanted to touch on that. Mental and physical health. How are you? And how does it feel in those lulls in between the jobs?
I think mentally it can take a real toll on you. I've never had any sort of mental issues or any kind of having to take any mental health time for myself, other than going on a holiday or whatever. Physically, I damaged my back in Chicago actually, and have herniated disc at the base of my spine, so I have chronic pain, which I've had for over 10 years now. My knee cartilage has worn away on my knees. I'm just one of those people that seems to be susceptible to injuries and pain. I'm actually I've had steroid injections in my back and my knees, but I'm actually getting a nerve blocker in my spine in a couple of weeks because the pain is just not great. And so I feel my health becomes a lot more important now I'm older and now I have a little boy. Because if I can't chase my little boy around, or I can't save him from a climbing frame. I remember doing that and I was just like, how's this going to work? We're both going and stuck up here. And I just want to be there. So for me, my physical health is taken quite important to me. I'm not in amazing physical health, by the way. I'm not
Oh,
like,
you
look at
look like
this.
you are,
But
Tupele, to us.
no, it's just something I am very aware of. I was lucky enough to do a TV show about, well, it was before I was pregnant, so 7 years ago, called Sugar Free Farm. I think it was just after, maybe it was after Chicago, I don't remember. And it was a TV show with Jane McDonald, Jennifer Ellison, Arj from Towie, a few other sort of celebrities, if you like. And we were put on a farm for a week, no, for 2 weeks, and we could eat no sugar, only produce from the farm. So vegetables, grains, meat, absolutely no sugar of any kind. For the first week, we weren't allowed fruit, no sugary drinks, no caffeine, no alcohol. It was so hard. Yeah. But it changed my whole outlook because I have a real sweet tooth. I would eat cake all day. I still feel like that. But for about 3 years, I was sugar free. Didn't have any sugar. Didn't cook with it. I try and cook all my meals freshly from scratch. So we don't have a lot of processed food in the house. So don't ever cook with sugar or honey or anything like that. I didn't for a long time have things like cocktails, juices, just have water and, some alcoholic drinks. Didn't eat cake, didn't have biscuits, made lots of alternatives with like peanut butter and dates and cacao and things like that. Everybody does, don't they? And got a lot more into healthier eating, lots of, roasted veg and grains and things like that. Now it's kind of half and half, I do love a piece of cake, but I try and bake rather than buy.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned about what my son eats, and making sure he has home cooked meals, at least once a day.
And what was the change? Because the bit I want to ask you, and that's amazing, and thank you for sharing. What was the change from that detox? Because you would have been massively detoxing, particularly week one when you cut sugar out. Because I'm on a plant-based diet and have been.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah. My
Wow.
second book, I'm in the middle of writing my second book, which is all about diet and nutrition. And I do home composting. I grow my own vegetables here that I've started doing the last few years. And it's like the good life. And it's amazing what we can do with the limitations of which we think we have. So even just scattering a few seeds, last year I ended up with beetroot, carrots, tomatoes, and you taste them, Tupele. Even if you've got a window box and you're in a flat somewhere, I'm very lucky, I've got a big garden, but even if you've got a little window box, start small, put your seeds in, and within literally weeks, they will blossom and grow. And the joy of knowing that you have homegrown your own fruit and veg, and eating it tastes like you're going back to the 1980s, which we're going to do. But the taste is unbelievable. And last year I put potatoes, which was a new thing, organic potatoes. And I thought this is going to be quite complex because you've got to build a triangle with them and then keep building this triangle. And I thought, goodness me, this is going to be time consuming. Do I want to keep this up? But actually, what's happened is this year, unbeknownst to me, they've grown independently. So apparently they've gone right deep into the soil. So they're just regrowing. And so we'll have another load. They're just now.
Oh, amazing.
It's all putting it all back to the earth. And the soil is what we've just said. And because I eat so many plants, everything goes in the compost bin. I don't need to buy compost. You're literally just feeding it back into the soil. That I also feed the birds. I love animals, as you can see with Tinker.
Oh my word.
All these things I want to share today because we all have them at our own fingertips.
Yeah.
So simple. And if I can do it, and I was someone who never had time to eat, I was busy like yourself. I don't know if you were the same, but my priority wasn't my health. It was grab a bag of minstrels after a big show on a Friday night. And I didn't have time. So I always say if I can make that transition, and I've had to due to health issues, but if I can do it, anybody can. And
amazing.
It's just, sweet potatoes, if you slice them sideways, drizzle of olive oil with some Dr. Sarah Myhill, who's been on this show recently, our podcast, sunshine salt, which has got lots of vitamins and nutrients and enzymes and things. So once you know, it's so simple. And if you've only got 5 or 6 choices like you had on the farm, then you realize, well, these are my limitations, but actually we are an animal, so we should be eating like the animals we are. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're living the dream. That is absolutely amazing. I'm not great at growing things. My mum was obsessed with her garden, and she had the most beautiful garden. And she used to say, "Oh, I'm not green fingered," but she took advice off people, and she read about things, and she really looked into it. I kill everything. I've just killed a peace lily. I'm devastated. And I bought plants in this house. We had this house built a year ago, and we moved into it a year ago. And I bought plants, and I mean, they're still alive, but I don't feel it's because of me. We haven't got, and we're going to get the garden done, so we haven't got anything in the garden. But I was like, I'm going to get a little veg patch, and I'm going to grow, whatever, basil, tomatoes, potatoes. My sister-in-law's amazing. She's got an allotment. She does it. A friend of mine, and I went to his house, we picked loads of veg from his allotment and had salad, and it's amazing. I love that you do that. I think it's so brilliant, and I'm a massive cook. I love cooking, love
Well, you
baking.
see, Tupele, that then this was meant to be, because I always say to people, every time you meet somebody, it bounces. Like you just said about the Ruthie Henshaw, there was a
Yeah,
reason. Your mind wants to do it, and you were busy with the Royal Exchange, but now all you need to do is scatter the seeds. It may be slightly late in the day, but you can pick it up again, I believe. And
mhm.
all you need to do is put the seeds in, even if you've got pots, as long as they're kind of near the sunshine,
Yeah.
and that's the front or the back of your garden, whichever gets the best. But even if you've got pots, but peace lily, bit of advice, don't overwater them. So a little drizzle of water once a week, and you've got baby bio. Because if you don't give them the plant food, which is your baby bio,
Um,
that's it. And it's as
that's it.
simple as that. That's it.
Well, I think what I did, which you'll probably laugh, this is probably a massive schoolgirl error. We went away on holiday, and I thought, I'm watering. I got these unkillable plants. The whole set was called Unkillable. About 10 of these different things, massive ones, little ones. And the peace lily one day kind of completely drooped, and I went, "Oh my God, it's died!" And my husband said, "Put it outside." So I put it on our balcony. And hours later, it was like this, like a different plant. I was like, amazing. It needs the sunshine. It needs to be nearer the sun. So then I panicked that we go away on holiday and it wouldn't get any sun.
No.
And I wouldn't, I watered everything, gave it a good water before we went. I thought they can last a week. Thought I need to get it some sun. I'll put it outside. So I put it outside for a week. And obviously England got every kind of weather. And I came back and the whole thing was brown. And it had snails on it. It was just awful. So I went online and I saw that this woman said, cut off all the dead pieces and all the dead bits. And so I didn't see the snails until later. And I was like, that's a husband job to get rid of the snails. And I've still got it in our bedroom. And it's a sorry sight.
I actually put some of the contents of the home compost into the peace lily plants I had last year and did the same, because it was the flies and the creatures outside, hence why they need to be an indoor plant. So you may not revive it, and if you don't, just keep trying. Just make sure
Yeah.
it's got a glaze of sun on it. Look at us talking about plants.
I know. And I'm the worst person. I mean, plants are not my cooking. Food, yeah, food. I can talk about plants. I'm a bit like, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's
Hopefully
gone.
that'll revive.
I
So if
think
anyone's
they,
tuned in to hear about Coronation Street, here
yeah,
how to revitalise your peace lily by Cathy and Tupele. And you
yeah,
heard it here first. Don't put it outside. Make
yeah.
sure that you give it some baby bio. But baby bio might revive it. Just check underneath, and you
I
might want
might,
to
yeah,
recompost it with some home indoor compost as well. You
right.
might want to just scrape off, and I hope that
Right.
helps. And we'll have to
One more thing.
realign in a few months' time and find out what happened.
Oh God, no pressure.
But on that note, going back to the 1980s, which is our nutrient value that we used to have, my nana used to say, I say in my book, my nana always said, because this was my nana's home, Tupele, she laid the
Oh,
foundations of it. She was a massive gardener, and she built all the rockery, and the beauty of my back garden is all credit to her. And I've had to try and maintain it. So I always look up and say, am I doing it right? Don't let me kill the rhubarb.
oh, Bob, that's amazing.
Well, it's all happening, a pear tree, an apple tree. But again,
Oh,
it's taking the gamble. It's saying, and a palm tree. I had a little palm tree that I planted, and my nana said that will just never grow. And somebody actually came round the other day and said that palm tree is huge. It's about £3,000. And I said, goodness
Wow.
me, do you want to uproot it?
Yeah, have it. That's amazing. Oh,
So
you've got to get.
the connection we have to Pelly is we both went to, for me, it was St Cuthbert Main High School, and
Uh-huh.
it then turned into Our Ladies High School. And of course, from Preston, I'm from Fulwood. If you just
Mhm.
share with us, first of all, where were you born? A little bit about your parents, of course, and also a little bit about how you were as a little girl to Pelly and your siblings.
Okay, so I was born at the Shara Green Hospital on Shara Green Lane in Fulwood. I lived on Watling Street Road, which is a very long road that goes, stretches for miles through Fulwood.
Yes.
I went to St Clair's Primary School on Shara Green Lane, and then I went to Our Ladies High School, where you said. Um, I have two brothers, older brothers, and my dad was Nigerian, and my mum was half English, half Irish, and they met at nursing college in London, and
Wow.
then they both got jobs up here. My dad worked as a director of nurse education at Burnley General Hospital, and my mum, she was a midwife, but then she got a job teaching human biology at Preston College, which was called, what was it called before?
Was it
Begin with D. Did it?
Tewson?
Tewson College. It didn't begin with C.
But you were nearly
And
there. No,
yeah,
there was
Tewson.
another called Preston Catholic College, which was
Oh,
elsewhere, but Preston College, which I also went to. Did you go to Preston?
oh, did you? No, no, I didn't. I did my A levels at Kirkham Grammar School, so just did 2 years at Kirkham, and then I moved to London. So yeah, she worked at Preston College, so it was all very Fulwood, Fulwood based, apart from my dad working in Burnley. And
So did you,
yeah,
obviously being raised here, so you went to St Clair's. What was your childhood like? Did you have a standard stereotypical childhood to Pelly? Were you quite confident,
yeah,
Bill?
I think so. Yeah, my mum went to a lot of trouble to give us a lot of memories. We got involved with cooking and baking and making things, and we went on lovely trips. And we did caravanning when I was very young, and then when my brothers left home, and it was just the three of us. When I was sort of in my early teens, we'd go abroad, and we went to Austria and Italy and Spain. My mum wanted us to have every opportunity, so we were encouraged to do every sport, every musical instrument, everything we wanted to do. So I pretty much was that kid that had something on every night. So I got into dancing and did that on a Saturday initially, and then I moved to Margaret Bagshaw's School of Dancing, and that was a Friday night. That was when I was in my teens. I loved sport at school, so basketball, rounders, all of those sorts of things. Netball, I was on the netball team. Uh,
What
I we
position
were
were you, Kelly? What position?
oh goal attack.
I was goal shooter.
Oh,
And
were you?
at the time, I was about 4'9", if that.
Oh,
And so the shock of everybody, I also won long jump in fifth year, and
oh, did
everybody
you?
said, how on earth has that happened? Because I was so little.
Um,
And at primary. So I was a little springy thing that could jump a long way, but you are blessed with long legs, yeah? Am I right?
well, I'm 5'9", so
Yes. You're
I'm
so lucky.
tall,
Yeah, you're so
but
blessed.
not that tall. But yeah, and then athletics again. I used to do 400 meters, 1500 meters, triple jump. Set some records at Our Ladies as well, which
Did
was
you?
great. Yeah, I always enjoyed doing that. I never wanted to do it out of school, so it was just something I did on sports day or in PE. And then my parents encouraged us to do music, so played the recorder, played the violin, played a bit of guitar, but piano was my main instrument. So we were told we could get to grade 5, finish. My brothers did, but I went to grade 8,
Wow.
and then I did A-level music. And as I think sort of late teen, maybe 14, 15, I started singing lessons. So for my A-level music, you have to do 2 instruments. So I did piano and voice.
Wow.
So that was it. I think I always felt sporty, loved it, always joining in with things. And then the arts were where I kind of really
And
felt.
And speaking of the arts, I obviously want to just rewind you slightly. Mrs. Connor was our drama teacher.
Yeah, it was,
And
yeah.
now I don't know about you, but I had this forte for playing old grannies.
Oh,
She would always say, and I say in my book, The Truth About Me, she always said, if you play another old lady, you're going to get an E. And I came out with an A for drama, thank goodness. And I did actually play an old lady at a bus stop. So I think she
did
just
you?
took her head and thought, you know what? There's nothing I can do. So, but yeah, I then, through my career, Guildford School of Acting and everything, through my career, I was always the old grandma. So it was grandma in Fiddler on the Roof or the
Oh,
lady in
wow.
Lots of Stiff. But I always resonated to our school days, Tupele, because Mrs. Connor said, you will not get anywhere if you keep playing old grannies. So I'm
Mm,
hoping I'll soon grow into that age.
yeah.
And maybe
And
that'll
then
be
they'll
my
say,
moment.
no, no, you're not right. You're not right. Well, this is it. I mean, your casting, your niche.
Obviously, went to the same high school. How was Our Ladies High for you? And obviously, yes, brilliant at all the sports. How were you with the academic subjects, English, maths, and all of that? And also, what was it like with the drama? Did you do drama with Mrs. Connor? I'm sure you did.
Well, I loved English. Maths wasn't my forte, but English, I went on to do English literature at A level. Loved English, history. Those kind of subjects were sort of for me. I wasn't really keen on geography. The sciences were fine, but geography and maths I wasn't really bothered about. But everything else I quite liked. I wouldn't say I was amazing at languages, but one of my first, yeah, it was pretty much my first theatre job was at, it was La Cage aux Folles in Germany. And a lot of what I'd learned at school, I ended up using a little bit. And actually, we were in Vienna the other week, and we're in them in a cab, and I was sort of saying, please can you take us to the hotel, but wait, because we have to go to the airport. I forgot my passport. And my husband was like, you saved the day. And I'm like, it's GCSE German
Yes.
from 20 years ago.
Sprachen Sie
Yeah, yeah. But ein bisschen Deutsch.
Ja. Kannst du spielen Tischtennis?
Tennis.
Tischtennis.
What's tisch tennis? Table tennis. Oh, nein. Ich bin sehr schwer, which I think that means very bad.
Very
Yeah.
good. That's advanced on myself. But brilliant. And I love German as well. I can speak it to a 3-year-old child eloquently.
Oh, wow.
Beyond that, because I once did a play scheme with one German little girl, and she thought I was German. God bless
Oh,
her.
amazing.
But then when the
That
mum
is a
started
win.
speaking, she went, no, she really, I'm talking about Zahnburst and, toothpaste and things
Yeah.
that are not beyond. But you're obviously much, much better than me if you can actually.
No, not at all. Not at all. I can just say I've forgotten my key, and can I have a menu and order a bit of food? But
And I
my
am
food's
12 years
limited.
old because we learned that every day, didn't we? Ik
Yeah,
ben 12 jaar oud.
yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah,
we must have had a similar type of feeling towards the same teachers because I like the sports and the German and the English, and
yeah,
perhaps the same teachers were resonating with our creative souls.
yeah,
Ellie.
definitely.
And then what about Mrs. Connor? I really want to ask you about her. Did you do drama?
So I didn't do drama
You did
GCSE.
drama.
No, I didn't. I did music. I actually get this. I did 11 GCSEs. I did 2 early because we got the chance to do RE and a science early a year before, and then all of the other subjects were taken up, and 3 of us who were kind of towards the grade 8 piano sort of stage did music at lunch times and break times, and we got our music GCSE. So because we'd done a lot of music before. So yeah, and I don't know. I think I thought I wanted to be a dancer at the time, and I thought I can't remember why, but I just didn't take GCSE drama.
Wow.
But it didn't meet it, but it was fine because I could still do A level drama, A
But you'll
level
have still
English.
done 1st to 3rd year with Mrs. Connor, is the connection, surely?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I found her, she was quite fierce, I remember. She would often
I'm going to
tell
let
me,
you say.
she was quite funny, but I remember she was quite fierce. And if you were
She
doing
was,
something you didn't like, she would tell you. So she was a bit scary, and I
yeah.
really enjoyed her classes. I remember we did this amazing improvisation, which was, I can't remember which one it is, but it's like the beginning of one of the old Superman movies where one thing has a knock-on effect to something else. And it was someone was having their hair washed and somebody was in a shop doing something. And I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was set in a hair salon, but I remember there was somebody getting their hair washed. And one person does something and knocks somebody else, and that makes somebody else do this, and somebody else does that. And I remember there was like 30 of us, and this sort of, this sort of like domino effect.
Yeah.
And again, another one, I auditioned for The Wizard of Oz. I think I auditioned for The Lion or The Tin Man. Didn't get it. I didn't get in The Wizard of Oz, and I was devastated. Yeah, at school. I was mortified.
Oh my gosh, I know that production. I know that production because my little brother, David, was in it as a soldier. That would be
really?
Yeah, because I then came back to school to watch him. And he shone. He was brilliant. He's not an actor, but he did really well. He could act really well. So The Wizard of Oz would be, because I think my brother David might be 1 year below you, possibly.
Right.
So you would have been taking the lead roles potentially.
Yeah.
And that might have been how that production was. Yeah, I can't believe you just shared that.
Yeah.
So you didn't get in it, is what you're saying?
No, I didn't get in it. And I can't remember why or whatever, but I remember
because you didn't take the GCSE, because there was a lot of, if you took that subject, then you got the opportunity. Was it possibly that?
No, I don't think so, because I remember the girl. No, I don't think so. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know, but I remember feeling devastated I didn't get in, especially because it's such a part of my life. I used to do Lambda, so I was doing speech and drama exams. I was dancing all the time. I was having singing lessons. I played the piano. I did all these instruments, and it was something that I loved. But I think you choose your GCSEs and then you do them for 2 years, don't you? So when I chose my GCSEs, I'd kind of gone, I'm not going to bother with drama. But by the time I left high school, drama was definitely something I was going to do. And so I ended up doing it at A-level.
But it's just the Wizard of Oz's loss was our gain. What do you think of that?
Well, there you go. Yes.
But I'm so proud of you for, not getting something that you felt was deservedly so, and then still pursuing it. And it's great that you did the Lambda as well. Because Lambda, for anybody coming up the ranks, because it's lovely to share this, Lambda is an amazing skill to have. I used to teach it in my own drama school as well.
Did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it's so important for children to learn these skills because they are exams and you get very nervous and you can be the best bunch in a show, but can you do what I call the audition process? And the people that I was teaching went on to do amazing work ahead. And the Lambda, I feel, was, standing in front of a panel prepares you, and you have to stand in front of a panel as you've done and I've done in your audition process. Would you agree?
Yeah, do you know what? I hadn't even thought of that, to be honest. I was just so used to it. My mum and dad sent us to elocution or speech and drama classes from quite a young age. So that was all about poetry and prose and standing in front of, either sort of an audience or, a panel and saying your poem and repeating things. And then when I went to do my A-levels, realised that you could do Lambda exams, but as drama, so acting.
Yes.
So you do a contemporary piece, a Shakespeare piece, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so Kirkham, what was that like? Was that very rewarding?
So I did well with the sport. I remember I got the Victrix Ladorum trophy. So just for overall being good at sport. I remember that my classes were 3 in my music class, 4 in my drama class, and about 8 in my English lit class. So the class sizes were small. And so you feel that you're not missing out on anything. The classes are all of you just sat around a table with your teacher talking about things. I really enjoyed doing the theatre studies, doing the drama.
Yeah.
That was great. I think I learned how to take a text apart, recognize themes, things like that, not just sort of pick it up and go with it. What's happening? What does this mean? What's this symbolizing? All those kinds of things. And that went up alongside the Lambda. So I felt quite well equipped when I left home, went to train, because I did go to do musical theatre was what I wanted to do. I remember saying to my mum very, very little, Mummy, you know the musicals we watch, the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers musicals. How do I do that? I want to do that, but how do I do that? You know, how do I get in an old black and white film? I was so, you know, I couldn't understand. And she said, well, there is a thing called musical theatre and musical comedy. And it's like, she went, yeah, and they do this but it's on a stage. And I was like, right, okay. Because I was like, I'd never seen a musical at whatever age, 5, 6, whatever it was. And I was like, okay. And so that always stayed with me. And so I wanted to train in musicals, and I wanted to get my dancing as strong as my acting and my singing. So I went to a primarily dance college, London Studio Centre. But what I found when I got there was a lot of people were amazing dancers, insane singers, but they didn't have any sort of text experience. We didn't study plays, to be fair, at my college. But once a year, there'd be an assessment, and they'd be like, here's your drama assessment. Here are 20 speeches, or here are 20, things. Choose one. And people would go, ugh. So I would help people and say, well, this one's like this one's about this. And I realized I'd come with a bit of acting experience and understanding of play and text and how to
education. Tupele, what I'm hearing you say is you'd come with a foundation of education in this industry, different styles, different theatre practitioners, different modalities, different ways of expressing yourself, and as you say, that then lent itself to where you ended up, because you followed your gut, but you also had a strength inside to be able to express these emotions, but also authentically, because you'd had the grounding, you'd had that pre-training. So what would your advice be to anybody wanting to follow in your footsteps, Tupele, coming up today?
I mean, it's so different now. The way things work, it's so different with social media and lots of theatre schools closing and stuff. I mean, I say I had this sort of background, and then I went to like a primarily dance performance college, but I didn't go to RADA. Do you know what I mean? There's exceptional. I didn't go to Guildford. I actually auditioned for Guildford, and they did say we will accept you, but you need to get 2 A's and a B at A level. And I was like, that's not going to happen. I was devastated. I really wanted to go to Guildford.
The Guildford School of Acting itself is very much musical theatre based, isn't it? And you're saying with London Studio Centre. You see, I always admired London Studio Centre. So
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think it depends on. I think they're all much of a muchness. We have a mutual friend, Helen Latham, now Morfitt, who also went to our school. She's been on our podcast, and she went to Mount View. So Mount View, Guildford School of Acting, London Studio Centre, they seem to be, certainly from my understanding at the time, in the top few drama schools to attend.
Yeah.
So I would be very proud of yourself, Tupele, getting, in the theatre school that you did. And you're saying that they gave you a particular grade and said you can only come on the basis of this. Is that right?
Yeah, because I was doing the degree course, so I had to get certain A levels, and Guildford wanted higher grades. Can't remember what London Studio Centre wanted, but I got in.
Well done. London Studio Centre's amazing.
Yeah, I auditioned for Liverpool Institute, the Performing Arts LIPA.
Did you?
I don't think I did. Yeah, I didn't get in there. Where else did I audition for? Maybe one more place, but I wanted to go somewhere like Mount View or GSA, where it was still acting, but they would do dance and singing, because I didn't want to lose that. So I didn't, not that I would have got into a RADA or a Lambda, but I didn't want to go somewhere that would be so heavily on acting, and I wouldn't have excelled in my dancing and my singing. So it was a good fit for me. But like I said, it wasn't very heavy on the drama. We had accent classes. We did all of the, chewing the burger and all of that. We did all of those things.
Or you see, my first passion was dance. I think then singing, then acting. What's your 3 in a row, Tupele?
Well, I think your passion and your ability don't always match up. So I think I was very passionate and wanted to be a dancer. That's how I started. I wanted to be a dancer and wanted to be in musicals, and I loved singing. So dancing and singing. And I thought acting would just be part of it as you play a character and say the lines and things. The concept of maybe just going and training as an actor and then working in TV made me go, oh no, I need to dance. I want to be a dancer. So I think for me, it was dancer, singer, actor. I actually think it's the other way around. I think my strengths are actor, singer, dancer.
Interesting. And I think for me, I think it's old lady, and my time is yet to come. I think Mrs. Connor's right. And so, I mean,
this is the thing with acting, though. You can do it at any age. You can be the granny in EastEnders. Do you know what I mean? It's great. And you get happier. When you get older, you get looked after. They come to your dressing room, give you, teas and coffee. You always get a seat. I did a film last year, and it was like, have you got a seat? Have you got a seat? And there's a seat for the older ladies. She gets picked up, and did you want a cup of tea? I'm like, I want a cup of tea. And they're like, you can get your own cup of tea. We'll get her tea. And I'm like, it pays to be an old lady in this industry. Yeah, definitely. I'm still going to be doing it when I'm 90, just for the perks.
100%. And I had a dance teacher, which was Barbara Saunders-Jones, which was in full.
Oh, yes.
Now, she was always an extra in the TV show that you excelled in and took a lead role.
Oh, wow.
She regularly went on Coronation Street in the background, as well as
I didn't know that.
Running a dance school. Yeah, and we spoke only a few years ago, and she's in my book giving a quote as well. And yeah, she was fantastic. And again, back in the day, it was very, for you and I, would you agree, quite a strict upbringing comparative to perhaps the way that lessons are taught today. And I actually think that might be a good thing. I don't know how you feel. I don't think being afraid is a good thing, but do you think perhaps having a more strict regime, like you described Mrs. Connor, for example, do you think that's a good or a bad thing, Tupele? What's the pros and cons of that?
Well, I think I think of myself as old school. So, and I wouldn't have done 20, 30 years ago, but yeah, I feel old school as in you taught when, rehearsal start. I remember a director saying, if rehearsal starts at 10, you arrive at 5 to 10. You don't arrive at 10. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And those sort of things are drummed into you. And I think the concept of being there by the hearth, warming up, all of those things, some people did meandering around, doing whatever they want, not kind of adhering to any rules. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And it's like, no, this is how it works. We're doing this now at this time. So, and also learning things, turning up, knowing your words, going to an audition, knowing what you're doing, just being prepared and being professional and understanding how it works. I think that's really good. And I believe in there being a sort of a strictness, and you pay to do a job, do your job. I think that what I also experienced a little bit of was the bullying, the being put down. You hear of people saying, you need to lose weight, you're too fat, or you're too this, you're too tall, you're too brown, you're too northern, and people would just disrespect and disregard who you were and what you needed to do. And you can often be forced into situations which you're uncomfortable with. And, as a woman in the industry, I'm talking about more. And your ideas can just be railroaded, and you just have to take it. You just have to do what they say. You don't really want to, but that's the business. And I feel when you're younger, you do, as I said, it's good to take the jobs. It's good to take the opportunities. Don't moan about it. The hours are long. The money's not great, but you learn it. But there are situations where people are crushed by other people, more experienced people in the industry. People ask things of you which are unnecessary and aren't fair. And so it's knowing the balance. So the concept that everyone can just, however you want to be, if you want to come in late, come in late. If you don't want to do it today, you don't need to do it today. I wasn't raised with that. It's kind of, it's showtime. So
switch on.
At the same time, when I was at the Exchange, which is a phenomenal theatre, it's got the history and the reputation. The work they produce is incredible. My back injury became quite bad, and I could hardly walk during rehearsal. So I had to literally go home and lie down for 2 days. And they check in and say, it's no pressure to get back. Want to know if you're all right. Take the time you need. It's only a play. And it's really rare that an institution would say, you are the most important person. Your life is important. Don't take the mickey and sort of say, I can't be bothered coming and not feeling it. You know what I mean? There's an element of give and take, but it's really nice to feel supported by the people and the company that you work for, and that they're not like, I know you had a car accident, but like we need you on set. Do you know what I mean?
It is exactly that, Tupele. I like how you just explained.
Yeah. Oh, I've had disastrous auditions, mortifying auditions, fallen over in auditions. I've forgotten the words in auditions. I learned a song completely wrong, and the pianist started playing, and I was like, "There is a what are you doing?" Like it was awful. But I remember someone saying, you give them the music, and as soon as they start, you just sing, you carry on. Don't worry what the pianist is doing. The pianist is messing up. You're just gone. You know what I mean? Which is good if the pianist isn't great, but it's not good if you're not great and the pianist is playing the music. You've just learned it wrong. I've had awful auditions. I've had funny ones, and I've had really wonderful ones where you go in and just think, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It was like being in a performance. I was a silly kid. I was always messing about. I was always doing silly accents, silly voices, funny faces. I loved that. And people used to go, oh, you'd be a really good kids TV presenter. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I really thought I'd go down that kind of route. And it's weird. I actually think of myself as a character actress. Yes. But if you look at my CV, at the parts I played, Kelly Crabtree does fall into that kind of umbrella. But yeah, I find that I play quite straight people now that aren't that funny, and I love comedy. But the worst thing for me, Abigail's Party is funny to a lot of people. It's actually quite dark and quite sad, and as actors, we found a lot of rehearsals quite difficult. It was quite tough. But there were some bits in it that were really funny, and honest to goodness, I corpse so badly. So I'll just laugh. And I did it during productions as well. My character was very sort of straight and had to be very, oh my gosh, this is awful. I can't believe this is happening. And I'd be like that. Oh, I'd start laughing. And I love comedy, but I actually think if I did a lot of it, I just wouldn't get through it. I wouldn't be able to get the lines out. I love laughing and I love watching comedy. I love comedy films. I really value that as something, and I love being in a rehearsal room where everyone's laughing and people are making mistakes and being silly and things. So comedy I feel it is a part of my life, that joy, that laughing, and that that sarcasm and just taking the mick out of things. My little boy's very silly as well. He's really funny and just funny voices and faces, and we love doing things like that. But professionally, I've actually ended up playing quite straight characters as well as funny ones. But yeah, I was like,
but it's great that you have embraced all of that, because like you say about the dancing, the singing, the acting, just drawing us to a close, Tupele, because there's so much I still want to cover with you. But you've got all of those hybrid of incredible abilities. And as you quite rightly said, it's just where the stars align. Maybe there's more stand-up type of work ahead. Maybe there's opportunities ahead in different forums. I'm sure that there will be, that you might say, do you know what, that's aligning with me now. And I think you could absolutely excel in all of that. The reason I mentioned comedy is because I think you've got that fantastic, quirky character that would absolutely excel doing stand-up comedy. And there was no, I really think you've got that gift, Tupele, and having watched you in various things. So just share with us a little bit about Kelly Crabtree and the character there, because that had a nuance of tongue in cheek. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. Oh, I loved playing Kelly. She was all the things you want to be, but you can't be. So I would get my costume laid out and I'd go down and I'd go, no, you need to give me the bright jacket. No, give me the big earrings. And I loved not making her look stupid, but just really, if I had sort of like a boring outfit, I'd be like, no, she needs to go. She's going for gold. I loved her outfits. I loved that she was outspoken and loud. It was so much fun to play her.
And how was it working on Coronation Street? Because that's really important to share today as one of the roles that you've played.
It was good. It was life-changing, absolutely life-changing. I was renting a room in a friend's house at the time. I'd done a TV series. I was lucky enough to do a TV series straight out of Mamma Mia. So I'd done shows and I worked in Germany. I'd done shows here and there, regional things. Then I got my West End break when I was 27. And then a long time ago, doing musicals and doing TV was a kind of a no-no. You're one or the other. And like I said, I kind of plumped for musicals and that kind of thing. And I got an audition for a TV series called Mersey Beat, and I got it. I got a regular in the TV series, and it was a 16-week job filming in Liverpool. And I went from Mamma Mia into this TV series, and I was like, wow. And she was quite a straight character. She played the receptionist in the police station. And then shortly after, I did some more theatre work, and I said to my agent, I'm going up to see my parents who live in Preston. If there's any chance I can get a general in Manchester and see someone from Coronation Street, that would be great. She's like, okay, leave it with me. And then she said, okay, you've got a meeting at Corrie. And I was like, amazing. And so I said, right, I'm up there, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I'll send you some script. And I said, what's it for? And she said, it's for a new character, but they haven't written it. So they'll send you some Karen MacDonald script. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So I didn't realise I was actually auditioning for character. I thought I was going for a general, which is where you just meet the casting director. They get to know you, find out a bit about you, and then sometimes give you script. And then so they know you, they've met you, and you're kind of in their bank of artists. But it wasn't, it was an audition. So I did the Karen script, and then they said, you're going to need to stay up there because they want to see you tomorrow. They've recalled you. So I went up for a recall, and I can't remember if I had 2 or 3, but I know the third one was with Julie Hesmanhouse that played, no, it wasn't with Julie, it was with Vicky Entwistle that played Janice Battersby, and it was on set, and it was directed as proper scene, so lights, camera, director, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I went in, I'd obviously learned it, but it was very like overwhelming, and the director was asking me questions, and I was like, like this. So did the scene, and then, got the call, you got the job. Remember my agent saying, get ready, you're going to be famous. And I was like, okay. And went to Manchester, and it was like just more than I expected, more difficult than I expected as well. More amazing, and just you learn so much stuff, and it goes at such a pace. It was everything. I got more money than I'd ever had. I got more opportunities. I got to go amazing places. And playing her was a joy, and I felt really lucky that she was so funny and silly, and she had a real heart. She wasn't a nasty character, but she would say funny things and get herself into situations. Yeah. And I love that.
So that's amazing. So you had the world suddenly opened up. And how old would you be at that point, Tupele?
I was 27.
27. And this was 2000. And when were you in the series, did you say, with Corrie?
2004. Yeah, 2004, I think it started. So yeah, oh God, get my maths right. Yeah, about 2004. So kind of before the social media sort of phase of everything. It was that time as well when the paparazzi could follow you anywhere and take pictures up your skirt and in private places and harass you and hang outside your house. And there was that. I mean, people still get that, obviously. And it was a time when journalists could make things up. I mean, they still do, but I found that quite eye-opening, that things were made up about what you were doing, getting up to. And when you did give interviews, things were twisted quite a lot. So it made me a lot more guarded. So I didn't do a lot of things that put me out there personally. When I met my partner, I didn't really talk about him. We weren't photographed together in public at events for about 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I did do a magazine wedding, because the money
Oh,
was
that's
so good. It
nice.
was the wedding I wanted. But the thing about a magazine wedding, which is good, is if no one else is allowed to take pictures, so there are no pictures of my wedding online that you could see, the magazine, but there are no pictures of me, like, pulling faces or anything else. So nothing else of my wedding. So for me, that still means it was a private event because they bought the rights to the wedding. And so
Okay.
there are no dodgy pictures of me out there, and things like that. So I became a lot more aware of that kind of thing, and made my choice to be a little bit more private.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, lots of amazing people I worked with, and something I came across quite early on. I became friends with an actress. I really liked her company, and she said she was leaving, and I was absolutely devastated because I thought, gosh, this is like I really enjoy like being with you. You're kind of like my mate on set, and then you realize people leave, and
You
you
share
have
who
these.
that was, or is it private?
No, it wasn't. It was Lucy Joe Hudson actually. She was
Okay.
a lovely actress, and she had some great storylines. And I remember when she told me she was leaving, she was one of the first people I was very friendly with that said that she was leaving, and I was just like, but you're my friend. I like you. Do you know what I mean? And
Oh,
I don't want you to leave.
it's like a
And then
family breakup, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months later, someone else leaves, and maybe somebody you don't really work with leaves, and it's expected.
Yeah.
And then other people you're really close with, they leave, and other characters come in, and then people get fired, and all sorts of things. And so you realize how transient it is, and that you can make those relationships, but your work environment is ever changing. And that's something I hadn't really cottoned onto because I'd been in the TV series I'd been in, we were all there all the time, and it was all about us at the station, and the same people. And I'd been in musicals before, so again, all the people, all the time, same people, same show. So that was a different experience for me. That it is an ever moving thing. So
Then
yeah, I learned so much.
and you left 2007, 2009. What was it?
2009, yeah, yeah.
2009. And then after that, was it Waterloo Road was the next opportunity that you got?
Oh gosh, timeline wise, I'm not sure, but I did Waterloo Road, I did Doctors, I did Casualty. I was a semi-regular on Hollyoaks for 9 months. I did what else did I do? So lots of daytime dramas, sort of one-off dramas that maybe got shown for a week.
Brilliant.
Um,
Brilliant.
kind of dramas that 4 episodes of a drama that's a one-off. I did quite a few of those kinds of things. Um, I had a Billionaire Boy, which is a David Walliams film, which was great. Um, and then I most recently, actually, that I think some of the jobs and definitely some of the auditions I've had since having my little boy, as again, it taught me a little thing that I'm not over the hill now. I've got a kid. I can't do anything. Everyone's forgotten who I am. I've not done anything for 2 years. I got the Full Monty TV series. So they made a TV series after the movie, 20 years on. So all the original cast came back, and it was basically Where Are They Now? And I played the ex of Robert Carlyle. So our daughter was pretty much the lead in the show. And I wasn't in it a lot, but it was a more of a high profile show.
Doesn't that just go to show what the wonderful Ruthie Henshaw, how we kind of partway through today's
Absolutely.
podcast, how she shared, and that it's it's what's meant to be. And this goes for anybody who's going through anything at any time
Mm-hmm.
in their lives, whether that be in your personal journey, obviously started in Preston, which is Lancashire, where we're from,
Mm-hmm.
and you had this fantastically incredible career, and yet you highlight that at school you missed the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Look at all the rest of what you've achieved. So your career started from a young child, and you are somebody who, even if an opportunity says no, you go and you try harder and you work harder. And I love that ethic that you have, Tupele. because that absolutely embodies who you are. So, right from your young childhood, you knew that you wanted to sing and dance and act, and you continue to pursue your heart and your dreams. And the same thing also happened in your personal life. You were 35 and you were trying for a baby. You thought this is just going to all happen at the
Yeah.
perhaps should. And then obviously 41 when you gave birth to your beautiful little son. And these are the things that matter in life, and we mustn't let
Mm.
go or lose sight of that. And we have to remember that we are what's important in this world, and everything else
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
amazing and exciting and little chocolate boxes to enjoy. But
Yeah.
actually, I think you're absolutely right in the way that you conduct your choices, and that is to say, family first, my little boy and my husband first, and my career is now second. But your career is still blossoming. You've just told us that you're in the full Monty, if anybody wants to watch that.
Oh,
And
yeah. Well, that was ages ago.
oh, well, I think that many people that haven't seen it will now be watching it again, if they have, of course, as well. But I just think we've got Coronation Street, Kelly Crabtree, we've got Waterloo Road, a whole host of doctors and various television shows that you have been in. And I think what an exciting career to have enjoyed. And what's your final sort of few words for anybody going through any circumstance at the moment where they think, why is this not happening right now for me? You share with us what your thoughts on that are.
I really do hark back to what's for you will not go by you. I think if you're putting everything into things, then it's great. And time is it just it goes fast. And I think when you say to somebody in a year or in 5 years, people go, oh, it's much too long. But there's so much you can achieve in that time, and learning and sitting with things and exploring other avenues. I think just knowing that, one door closes, another one opens. There are always options. There are always other options. If that one didn't work, maybe, you retrain and do something else, or maybe you work on something else. Give yourself the grace. Don't give yourself a hard time. I remember seeing a therapist a long time ago. I looked at my parents a couple of years ago, and the kind of pressure of the juggle of being a mum, but being this. And she said, you are enough.
Yeah.
As you are, fat or thin or working or not, or, being a mum, having lots of kids or no kids, you are enough. And I think
Love that. I love
sometimes,
that.
yeah, as an actor, you're told you're not enough because you weren't quite a good enough singer. You didn't quite get the steps right. You didn't quite, and sometimes you're not right, and it's fine to not be right, but it doesn't mean you're not enough. And we've all seen productions where there's a bad person, and casting don't always get it right. So I, come back and go, well, they don't always get it.
Well,
I think you have
they
to.
didn't get you as the Tin Man, and I don't know who ended up playing it, but I hope they're having a good think today. I love what you've shared today, Tupele. I think it's absolutely amazing. What an inspiring, incredible, intuitive, wise actress who embodies the heart of entertainment, the heart of the television, the heart of the musical theatre genre. And you have the education behind you as well. And long may you continue to light up our lives and our screens in
Oh,
everything that you do. It's been a real pleasure
thank
sharing
you.
your life today, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
I have. Thank you so much. You honestly, when I die, you can write my eulogy. That's so nice of you, and you're so lovely about what I've done. And I think you go through life just thinking, well, I'm doing my best. I say it to my friends all the time. Everyone's just having a go. Everyone's just getting through. Nobody really feels like they've got all the answers and they're doing it. Everyone's just trying to get through, and you forget that everyone's just
Yes.
having a go.
It's so true. And life is very short, and particularly,
Yeah,
it's remembering that how we see ourselves is not the way other people see us at all.
yeah,
And when
yeah.
we stop the
Very true.
perfectionist people pleasing, and that's what I share in my book, The Truth About Me, when we stop
Yeah.
the trying and the fighting to get to the next whatever it is, including trying to get pregnant or trying to get the next job or trying to meet a man or whatever it is that our personal strives are, when we stop trying and just allow it to happen. And that's where the spiritual side comes in. Just let it be, and it will be as it is. And a beautiful phrase I've learned just this past couple of weeks is, you are exactly where you need to be right now.
Yeah, I say that. I like that. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard knowing that things are going to be all right and that you're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. And then hug a tree, plant our own seeds, get that baby bio, and let's see where that life goes.
Save the peace lily.
Save the peace lily. And a real pleasure speaking to you today, Tupele.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real joy. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. God bless. And how can people find you if they want to link with you, just to finish?
I'm not really on social media. I kind of stopped that. I found it quite toxic. I didn't feel it served me well. So I'm not really on any of those platforms. You contacted me with Facebook Messenger. So I have that just for personal friends. Yep. So Facebook Messenger, or my agent is Phil Belfield at Belfield Board, if anyone wanted anything professionally. But I'm sure people will just watch me on something and that's enough.
Oh, fantastic. Well, honestly, we wish you a lovely, wonderful, consistently blossoming career ahead.
Oh,
and it's been a real pleasure speaking to you today. God bless.
Oh, and you. Wishing you lots of help as well.
Oh,
and good luck with your book.
Thank you so much, Tupele, and all the very best ahead. Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye.
Bye.